Rev up your engines!
Well, if you've been following people buying and selling cars, the old car market, especially for higher-end cars, is starting to fall apart. Doug Demuro, he made a lot of money because he sold his cars and bid site to a company for, I don't know, it was millions and millions, right? And now they're laying a bunch of people off because guess what? People aren't buying enough of these fancy cars and they're not paying the price either. Auto auctions and that stuff, often they don't meet their reserve bid. And you got to be real leery if you follow any of these car bidding things because a lot of them pull real fast frauds. Well, they'll have one of their friends buy a car. Well, it didn't really sell for blah, 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 right? A friend bought it. It was an inside deal just to make the price go up. Or they'll have their friends bid on stuff to get it higher and higher, hoping that they'll sucker somebody into paying an even higher price to buy it. The fancy car market is starting to collapse. It's only common sense. I knew a guy for the last decade or so. He didn't trust the stock market. He said, oh man, I lost too much money. The stock's up, down in one day, so I'm going to buy classic Corvettes. So he did. Well, in the last few years, the classic Corvette market has been going down the toilet, and his investment has gone down the toilet. And poor guy, I got to say, because, yeah, the stock market's volatile, but if he would have left him in stocks for the last 10 years, he'd probably have 4 times the money he's ever going to get selling these Corvettes. Now, granted, the stock market's probably going to collapse at some point in time, but these classic cars, they're already collapsing. And of course, the funny thing is, these are toys mainly, right? So it kind of shows you what's going on with the economy. The first thing when the economy starts to dip, people stop buying toys. Motorcycle sales are down. Harley Davidson's on the verge of bankruptcy, right? All these people that thought, oh, well, I'll sell these expensive cars and make a lot of money. The people that invested in Doug Demuro's thing, I bet they're crapping in their pants. They paid a small fortune, I guess it was 30-something million for it, right? And they thought, well, we'll sell more as we expand. Well, they're not selling that many more, and they put all that money in, and now they're laying people off to cut ends. And as soon as they start laying people off to make ends meet and cut their bottom line so they're not spending as much, it's telling you it is a failed concept. And on top of that, the entire market of expensive used cars, classic used cars, whatever you want to call them, is starting to collapse. Well, Jeep is at it again. Stellantis, they have frozen their activity at the Brompton, Ontario assembly plant because they're saying, we're kind of rethinking our Jeep Compass strategy. Now, they haven't built anything in this factory for 2 years, but they were supposedly setting the factory up so they could make, guess what? Electric Jeep Compasses. Now they're thinking, well, maybe people aren't going to buy these electric Jeep Compasses. So now they're rethinking everything, right? Well, this rethinking is going to be rethinking for a lot of these companies and their electric vehicles. For example, Nikola, the big electric truck, and then fuel cell electric company just went bankrupt and they're now selling all their assets off. So maybe the idea of building electric Jeep Compasses in Brampton, Ontario isn't such a smart idea. So Stellantis has now paused all activity there and they're laying people off. And of course they come up with this excuse, quote, we're navigating this problematic market that's happening. Yeah, they're realizing people don't want to buy these stupid electric vehicles and double so on an electric Jeep. They're supposed to be off-road stuff. Go anywhere, right? Yeah, go anywhere. Well, you're stuck in the middle of the woods with no power. What are you going to do, right? Well, your friends are going to come give you a gallon of gasoline, but that doesn't make it go because it's an electric Jeep. So maybe a smart move not starting to mass produce these things. This particular one's in Brampton, Ontario, but you can see worldwide. The EV car boom. The wheels seem to be falling off of that wagon, the EV bandwagon. So at least they're wising up before they put even more money in building factories to build them. Now they're like, whoa, well, let's see what we're going to do. Well, it's permanent now. Ford is removing a feature from all of its new cars to cut manufacturing costs. And it is that stupid parking assist that Ford had. They called it Active Park Assist, and as far as I'm concerned, and most of the customers I have that had a Ford with it, it was a piece of garbage anyways. It was supposed to help do parallel parking and stuff in the Fords. It never worked all that well. Well, now Ford's dropping the whole thing, and of course, Ford is giving their usual coterie of lies, saying, oh, it worked fine, but people didn't use it. Well, Ford, let me tell you something. The reason people didn't use it was because it didn't work very well. Don't put a spin on this thing. The stuff just didn't work all that well. And now they're cutting park assist, saying it's going to save them millions of dollars because it costs so much for each car. And with all those cars that had it, it would cost them millions. So, really, does anybody care? Probably not. But, of course, Ford is to say, it worked. It worked. No, it didn't, Ford. And that's one of the reasons people didn't use it. Well, it looks like Ram's long-awaited midsize truck is coming for production in 2027. Automotive News got a memo that says Stellantis is planning to build a new midsize pickup truck at its plant in Belvidere, Illinois, that's presently an idled plant, and they say they're going to fix it up to build a midsize pickup truck. So, they want something to rival the Ford Ranger and the Toyota Tacoma. It also means that 1,500 United Auto workers at that plant will be returning to work. Stellantis says that they're going to start production there in 2027. Now, this plant was idled in February 2023 to produce electric trucks and EV batteries, but that's gone down the toilet, so now they're talking about making a smaller, mid-sized pickup truck. Because last week, Ram said they're canceling their electric 1,500 long-range electric truck and probably will bring back the Hemi V8. Ram makes a small pickup, but they do it in Brazil. It's called the Rampage. Check it out. That's what a Rampage looks like. It'll probably look something like that. Finally, people are wising up. They kept making them bigger and bigger and bigger because there's more profit on bigger vehicles. Maybe let's make them smaller. A lot of people want smaller vehicles. It only makes sense. Well, if you ever had a car stolen, especially if you live in an area like I did in Houston that's next to a port of call, Port of Houston is a large port, here's how cars are smuggled overseas and how customs is trying to stop it. Often, they hide the stolen cars amongst things like furniture, flooring, crates of oranges, and they hide the car inside one of those ship containers. Those things are large. You can fit a lot of stuff. The feds are chasing after criminals who move vehicles out of the country. Since 2020, the number of stolen vehicles has increased. It decreased early in the 2010s, but now it's up again. Now, legally, the vehicles are called roll-on, roll-off. They have different ships that they're supposed to be transported on, unlike the other ones that have containers that they call non-liquid, non-perishable goods like grains, ores, minerals. Well, the cars are supposed to be in their own, but of course, the criminals cheat, and they put them in the other ones, especially in the Port of Baltimore that a lot of them are stolen from. Their director doesn't have the manpower to check every shipping container that comes in. We know that. They do have mobile x-ray trucks that can go through each vehicle, but, they don't have enough of them to do every single one of them. As they found a 75,000 Ford Raptor was surrounded by boxes of new power tools. So if they opened the back, they just see boxes of power tools and they couldn't see the truck inside. They even go so far as they make fake VINs, the thieves, and they glue them on top of the real VINs. But of course, the fake ones aren't real, and if they scan them, they'll find out they're not a real VIN. So now they find them, they start scanning them, and they see that's a fake VIN, and they take the vehicle back. And the interesting thing is in Baltimore, the final destination for many of these stolen cars is located in West Africa. The guy Rotman, who tries to stop them, says, quote, I'd say 90 to 95% of every one of our stolen automobiles is headed to West Africa. It's going to West Africa, the land of con people. Everybody knows all those people, the Nigerian con artists. That's, kind of a cliche now. Now, these guys are fast. As he said, they're literally stealing cars and putting them in containers and selling them right away. And interesting enough, one of the popular targets isn't your vehicle, it's a rental vehicle, because they'll rent them for 30 days. Hey, they're long gone by the 30 days are over, then they're somewhere else. So now they're trying to check the VIN numbers, see if they're real, but it's a giant business, and they're doing it that fast. I mean, it'd be kind of interesting to play cat and mouse with it. It would make it much more interesting for the people working at the ship container facilities to see how many of these guys could catch. So you can make competition, give them bonus points for catching more people. Here's a hilarious one. The company called Freyr has rebranded itself with a new name after they killed their $2.6 billion Georgia battery factory. They said nix on that, right? Freyr is now calling itself T1 Energy. As they say, what's in a name, you know? A rose by any other name. Or in this case, a turd by any other name, right? Failing battery technology. They said that, well, there's a surplus of cheap Chinese batteries, so nix on that battery factory in Georgia. We're not doing the $2.7 billion, right? We're going to make solar panels instead. Now, what kind of a moron runs this company, right? If they think there's a surplus of cheap Chinese batteries, there's an even bigger surplus of cheap Chinese solar panels. So why on earth they think they can go to something that's the same competition? This company has a moron running them, and they have something going on the New York Stock Exchange. If I were you, I would not invest money in this company. If they're that stupid, okay, the Chinese battery competition is too heavy. So let's make solar panels instead, which the Chinese also have a giant surplus of, right? I mean, it makes you wonder who's running these companies. And what do they think? We'll change our name from Freyr to T1 Energy. That'll fix all the problems. We'll just change the name. Like GM with their Ultium battery technology they had for electric cars. They're not using that name anymore. We'll change the name. No one will realize it. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.